Hi there, and thank you for joining us for more. I'm Sheba Varghese, and this is a program that explores people's inner journeys as they evolve into more of themselves. The fact that this show exists would imply that there is a need for greater focus on how to more fully be the people we were designed to be. Since we're always promoting awareness, it could be suggested that we do so because most of us are not really aware of why we do what we do or how to ensure that we bring more of it into our lives. We all know how to go through the motions of living, and sometimes I even pride myself on how well I can get through a tough day. For some, it's enough to just make it through the day, every day. And then there are those of us who admit that we seek more as we coexist with the day-in demands of living. More is more than just content knowledge or intellectual awareness. It goes deeper than that to understanding. And after the understanding, then comes action. The first step, though, requires honesty about what we really care about and what it is we want to be feeling more of. I have always sought to understand why. And, I would go to my head to find the answers. After all, I did have food in my belly, I had a roof over my head, I had a job, I was loved and supported. What more could I want or need, right? But don't you want to know why now? Or would you rather wait until life sucks and you can't see clearly? I don't know, what's your poison? Is it logic, dogma, others? Or are you one of those lucky ones who's just a sucker for all three? For me, the dictate was logic. That was my poison. I put all my stock in this. And feelings did matter. Sometimes, but not really. Logic, on the other hand, I knew that was a foolproof way of not making a mistake. Purely subjective, obviously, but I can tell you that my approach kind of worked. Sure, there were trade-offs, because I accepted that's how it had to be. Isn't that what life is about? Trade-offs? Well, yeah, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. While there may be trials and errors still to come, I now know and accept that it's possible to have it all. But the only way to get there is through honest awareness. What are the feelings you want to experience most in your life? What do you most value? Answer these questions for yourself solo, because if you don't, dogma and other poisons like that will convince you otherwise. Joining us today is Paul Pelligrini, president and founder of the Sussex Strategy Group. Paul is an active community leader and an advocate for numerous nonprofit and charitable causes. Paul also appears as a political commentator with various news outlets. So thank you so much, Paul, for joining us on our show today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Wanted to kind of start with this whole, as you know, self-awareness and awareness is a really big tenement of what the show is about. Wanted to ask you about self-awareness. How did you kind of form that for yourself?
I think a lot of it had to do with my upbringing. My family, my father was the typical immigrant story. Came over at 18 in search of a job, in search of an opportunity, and hardworking, instilled that in me, and always gave me everything I needed, not necessarily everything I wanted. And I think that had a lot to do with the path I chose in my life. And always loved people, loved to work, grew to love politics, and I guess that gave me sort of where I started in my career.
It sounds like it gave you a good starting ground. And I guess if we can build on that from you personally, from an awareness perspective, how did that kind of inform you in your life?
Well, I always believed if you treated people well, if you worked hard, that it would all come back to you. And I always felt that, give what you want to receive, and be good to people. I think I do a lot of favors for people, and I'm not meaning, because most of my work career, you charge for what you do, but I do a lot of what I would call pro bono work.
I've heard a lot of great things about you, and so definitely I know that.
Yeah, for nonprofits, for charities, just for friends or family who need help. You can't always, if I look at my day, a lot of it is spent not doing billable hours, but I think you give back to the community, you give back to society, and it comes back for you.
So, kind of just off track a little bit, I have something against that F word. I don't like that whole idea of favors. And I guess when you think of favors, I probably shouldn't have led you like that. Yeah. But when you talk about favors, what do you mean by favors?
Well, favors are, someone needs help with a problem, whether it's financial help, whether it's help accessing information. I mean, it maybe favor is the wrong word, but
No, because you're right. That's what the world abounds with. I mean, I see it all the time. It's a favor-oriented world, but that really leaves me with kind of a sense of, is substance required in the returning of favors and the granting of favors? And so it just changes the whole playing field of what.
No, but sometimes you don't expect anything in return. You know you're doing something good for someone, helping them out. Hopefully they say thank you. And you don't even get that sometime, but that's okay. I mean, I think it's just about, if you have certain talents, certain abilities, things come easy to you, you should impart them on other people who may not have as easy a time doing it, I guess is my point.
And so how do you continue? I mean, you got the teaching from your father and your family of origin, and then you've kind of you've had your career now. I guess as you keep going in your own life, Paul, as you evolve as a father and as a partner and as a person and all those ways that you evolve, how do you kind of increase your own awareness? Do you notice that you're more cognizant of certain things now than maybe at another stage in your life, or what?
Yeah, I think I noticed that as I get older, that money's less important to me. What's important to me is family and friends and my relationships, and so money is still important. I mean,
But everybody says those apple pie statements, family and friends and giving back to the world. It's a very good world, and if everybody did it, we'd certainly have a different world. Nobody does. So, I'm gonna. You're strong. You're a brave guy. So I want you to be honest. Yeah, that sounds good for what we say when we're quoted in the paper, but this is a show about realness. So I want to know, when you go for your more, you want to know more about Paul. Paul doesn't start with, you've only had Daniel, for a finite period of time.
Right.
You've been Paul your whole life. So tell me about Paul. How does Paul be Paul? What most jazzes you?
Well, I don't know if this is too simple, but I don't really need a lot. I just want to, I want to have friends. I want to have family. I want to be happy. I mean, I want to.
What do you mean you don't need a lot?
I don't.
Happiness, that's like huge. That's like
but I don't need
pursuit.
I don't need money to be happy.
No, you don't.
I don't need 50,000 friends to be happy. I mean,
chances are that would make you pretty unhappy.
Maybe, you have a few good ones and a few good people to rely on. But
So what makes you happy, Paul?
What makes me happy? Well, I don't want to
family
get back to it.
And friends. We did
right
the
now,
apple pies,
as you know, because you have young children. I mean, obviously, my son makes me very, very happy.
Sure.
My wife, we've only been married a short time. Very happy, but obviously, I love what I do. I love my job. To me, it's not a job. It's my life.
What do you need to see showing up in your life for you to be able to say you love something? What are kind of some of the things that you have identified for yourself need to be associated?
I think I need to feel certain accomplishments. I mean, you get challenges from clients, and you want to be able to deliver. To me, it's a sports analogy. I want to put the puck in the net. I want to be able to say I delivered. And the harder the challenge and the bigger the success, the better I feel, obviously.
Well, that's great. You know what? And that's a big thing to even know, because if a strong driver for you is your need for results and your need to achieve, then that already kind of tells you where you don't want to be. You don't want to be just spinning your wheels. You're somebody that needs concretes, and you want to build from that. Absolutely. That's great. So what else would you kind of identify as being something you know is a must-have for you?
Besides the accomplishments? Obviously, from a personal standpoint, this may sound corny to you, but health is everything. And, and I have to, maybe work a little harder at maintaining that, but I want to make sure I'm on this world for a long time and see my son grow, and so I have to work at that. But I'm not that complicated a person and don't need a lot. I mean, I think I'm blessed right now.
Well, that's great. On that note, we're just going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to speak more with Paul Pelligrini. So please stay tuned. Thank you.
When do we cover news at Dex TV? When it's relevant and when it has context. Dex TV broadcasts live from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. the entire North American business day. We look at long-term trends by delivering proactive and purposeful coverage. For catching up on world events, The Close is Dex TV's daily finale, combining all the key news in a comprehensive end-of-day package. Our detailed archives allow you to search through all of our shows, segments, and interviews. Information when you want it, at any time, on demand. Visit us at dex.tv.
Welcome back, and you're watching more. I'm Sheba Varghese, and with me today is Paul Pelligrini. Paul, wanted to kind of pick up where we left off a little bit.
Okay.
What are some of the things that inform you as a person?
What informed me as a person?
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously the environment around me is where I live and what I do for a living, obviously, and plays a lot into what informs me.
How does that inform you?
Well, I mean, that's my reality, my day, right?
Great.
And, you have to live in the moment as much as you want to maybe dream and do other things. At the end of the day, I got a job to do. I got a family. I've got things I need to get done, and I live in the moment. And I think maybe a little bit overthink sometimes. When things might be simple, I try and make them more complicated. But I just want to keep challenging myself that way.
No, and that's really fair and honest of you to kind of acknowledge that sometimes we can all fall into the temptation of analyzing. When you kind of say living in the moment, I also heard you say, yeah, well, it's nice to dream and think bigger picture. The reality is the now has a lot of demands and dictates that you need to be paying attention to. But so I guess, what does that mean then for the dreaming side? Where does that side of Paul kind of get to see the light of day?
Well, there's still opportunities to dream. I think dreaming is important. I think you have to have goals that are even way out there sometimes. But I also think you need to be grounded, you need to be practical, and you need to deliver on... Look, I have to make sure that the base is solid, and it has been, and it is going to be, but I still want to reach for more. And I think I've had all kinds of opportunities. I want to make sure I continue to have them, and I continue to give them to other people. So...
What is more that you want to be reaching for yourself?
Well, I don't think I'm going to be doing what I'm currently doing for the rest of my life. I see myself doing one or maybe two other careers. And I'm trying, I guess, at the stage of my life now to figure out what that needs to be. I think, when you're younger and you get through school, it's about the first job and
paying down the debt.
It's all of that. As you get older, I think you have to start... as you say, even though you can't be completely selfish, I think you have to start thinking about yourself and, you're not here forever, and are you really happy doing what you're doing, and are there other things you could do, and can you make a difference? That sounds corny, but
no, I
think people can make a difference if they put their mind to it. I don't think enough of us challenge ourselves to make a difference, that's all.
Good for you. No, and you're definitely, I mean, you know that you've watched enough of the shows, you see that people are looking, people are learning, people are growing, and it's by having these kinds of discussions that you can start to get a clearer sense of what that more might be about for you. So when you say, you see yourself having a couple more careers because you're looking for more, what are you looking for more of?
Well, I mean, what I do, obviously, as I said, I can see results, but it's very specific to certain business areas, certain things. And I think I can, do other things, whether it's, even running for public office one day, if that is one of my goals. I see the people there now, and obviously I work with a lot of them, and some are good and some are not so good. And you have to believe you can do better, or else why would you do it? Because it is a crazy life. And I do believe I could do better. That's
great. And that's a very bold claim to make.
Well, it's just, there's a lot of challenges to that, but, if I think I've had the training, obviously, and the experience, so I may want to try my hand at that.
Well, we'll have to follow up with you on there, Paul.
Okay.
So when we talked about some of the things that inform you as a person, where do you look to inform yourself, to kind of get more answers, more awareness for yourself? Where do you tend to look? Is it in a book? Is it inside yourself? Is it in the eyes of your child? Is it whatever you want to say? But I mean, no, I'm going to follow up with that to say.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably inside of me, actually. I think there is someone you talk to all the time. Sometimes it's a God, sometimes it's really maybe just yourself. But you're having these conversations, and answers do come from that. So some people call that daydreaming, other people call it meditating, but I think you do have conversations with yourself.
Definitely, for sure. Do you find that you make any choices out of those conversations, or are you content with just a dialogue?
No, I think choices come out of that. I think you come up with options and you pick one or the other, I think, at sometimes. So, I don't think I read enough. I don't think I'm making the time to read enough. I think reading is important, but a lot of what I'm doing to find out more is having conversations with myself.
No, that's great, though. I mean, geez, that's the best person in the world for you to talk to.
Yeah.
And it's the only place you're going to find your answers. So I think that that's great. And, I guess one of the challenges that inevitably come when you walk down that road and you meet the fork in it is, are they forced choices, Paul, or are they free choices? Are they choices that you make of your own volition because they resonate for you, or are they choices that you make because you were told to make them, because that's the right thing to do?
Well, I think I'm at the stage in my life where I'll make them because I want to make them, not because I need to make them or I'm told to make them. I think maybe earlier in life you make some of those decisions because either you're told to or you think they're the right things. I think I have a little more, I think you get wisdom as you get older. And so I hope I make them for me and for the right reasons.
Well, it sounds like if you're having that internal dialogue going on, you'll know. But you know what, Paul, I don't mean to interrupt you or cut you short, but we need to take a quick break. So coming up, we'll be back and pick up where we left off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why watch Dex TV? We understand your mindset as a producer and that you are looking for more. Dex TV delivers economic news with a human context. It is time financial news told you more than just the numbers. Why something happens begins with people, those who make decisions, those who produce, those who create value. We delve into the bigger issues that affect business around the world before you see the trend. Visit us at dex.tv.
Hi there, you're watching More. I'm Sheba Varghese. Thanks for joining us as we speak with Paul Pelligrini of the Sussex Strategy Group. And Paul, I want to talk to you about some of the challenges you may have faced just as you were living. And I guess when you think about the choices that you made, kind of how did you make your choice?
Well, first of all, I mean, I don't know if this is fair, but I don't really think I've faced some of the challenges that other people have faced in terms of hardships or, I mean, we all come through a different path. I mean, obviously I've had forks in the road and I've had to decide which way to go, and have I had doubt about whether I made the right decisions? Yeah, I have, but you got to learn to accept them and move on. And so, I mean, you do, when you get a challenge, when you have a fork in the road, I think you just have to sit back and think through all the options and what do you think will be best for you in the long run. And once you make the decision, you have to work hard and just plow ahead.
One thing that is certainly not unique, a lot of people do it, myself included. One thing I definitely notice is logic is really something that informs you. This is my kind of sense, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. I mean, it's you'd know best.
Yeah,
but I guess I'm wondering, how much time do you...
I don't know, I think you're right about logic. I think, they have this saying that, your gut instinct, and you should believe in your heart or in your soul or in your gut what you believe. And I think if you do that, you'll always make the right decision.
But do you? Do you listen? How often do you listen to the gut,
Well, I
to
think
the voice, to the spirit?
I think there's conflicting gut instincts sometimes, and that's when it becomes
sure.
challenging, right?
Yeah.
I think you believe it's the right thing, and then you maybe believe that it's not the right thing, and that's what you have to go through in your mind. But
So how do you go through that? Because that's a tough thing, and that's something that so many of us can identify with.
Well-
How do you find your answers?
well, sometimes in life I've gone to people that I would call mentors. Sometimes I have asked and sought advice from people, and sometimes I just sort of went off and thought about it myself and made my own decisions. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I think it always is good if you have people in your life that you can reach out to. Maybe not to make the decision for you, but to talk it through. It doesn't hurt.
No, I agree with that. You're right. It's definitely good to have sounding boards, and we're certainly not meant to do it alone, so collaboration is critical. One of the risks that I found for myself in doing that is they don't think like me because they're not me. And so while they give very good, well-intended responses and suggestions, they've got to be tempered because they are not as aware of my reality as I'm aware of my reality.
No, you're
and
absolutely
there's
right.
that risk, right? When we put it out there, what if what comes back from somebody we love, respect, admire, have to listen to, isn't what we want to do? We just created a new fork in the road for ourselves. So, oftentimes I really try to listen, at least for myself, and it does work. And it's certainly not something that is easy to do, but I found that if I listen to that voice, man, it takes away all the guesswork.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's so freeing.
You got to, at the end of the day, you can seek counsel and sounding boards, but at the end of the day, no one knows yourself better than yourself, right? So at the end of the day, you have to make the decision. You have to be comfortable with it. You have to believe it's the right decision. If it's a life decision like, most people face.
No, you're right. That's an excellent point. In some of the ways, like, I don't know if you're able to kind of name them specifically for yourself, and that's okay, but it's really around how would you know what is right for you? What are the must-haves that you seek in your life? You talked about your need for results, accomplishments. What's a must-have? When Paul goes through that kind of fork in the road, soul-searching time, all that stuff, what else do you kind of say, I don't know maybe everything I need to know, but these things I know need to be there?
Well, I mean, I obviously wanted to have what I felt for myself would be a successful career, and I worked hard to get there. Then, two, I wanted to have a successful family. I wanted to, obviously when you are proud of your parents the way you are and you want to try and have the same kind of family life for yourself, then making the decision on who your partner is going to be is probably one of the biggest decisions you can make. It took a long time to make it, and I think that was right for me. So that was obviously, besides career, family was the next big decision for me.
And so what is it that family gives you? There's we joked that it was an apple pie kind of statement, but what is it specifically that makes that family need important for you?
Well, I think I don't think, maybe it's just individuals the way we are. I don't think people want to be necessarily alone. I think they want to have, for me it was about getting married and having children. And
so
that was important to me.
Now,
and also sharing my experiences in my life with somebody on a day in and day out basis.
No, sure, that's definitely a nice thing to have. Makes it a lot easier because, again, we're not meant to do it alone. When you kind of think of truth as a beacon to you, if you will, for your life and kind of for this next chapter of your life, because I hear you're ready to embark upon a journey of sorts in that regard, and that's really exciting. How important is truth in all of this?
Truth meaning being true to yourself? Oh, I think it's critical. I think if you're not true to yourself and you're being fake in a way, I think people see through that. I don't think you're as successful as you can be. And you got to be honest with people. You have to be honest with yourself. You got to be sincere. I just think that hopefully that's the way I'm living my life.
Good for you, and that's great. If that's kind of something that you're at least, if you're being sincere and holding yourself to that, that's great, Paul. But you know what? You've been great at answering some questions that maybe aren't necessarily part of your daily lexicon. And I thank you for taking the time to join us and share your answers with us, because I do think that everybody's got a story to tell, and we can all relate to different aspects of everybody's story. So thank you so much for sharing yours with us, Paul.
Well, thank you. It's a different type of interview for me, but I really enjoyed it.
Well, you handled it well, so thank you so much,
Thank
Paul.
you.
If we're serious about wanting more, the time is now. We're in the throes of a financial crisis with implications no one can predict or imagine. There are upcoming elections on both sides of the border that are going to have their own implications. And of course, we have our own day-to-day existences to deal with. All of these realities test our awareness, not just of current events or government bailouts, but our awareness of what most matters to us. Are you willing to consider displeasing people you may or may not even like to be more true to yourself? Are you willing to suspend logic of what is for what could be to be true to yourself? Phil Knight of Nike believes that it doesn't matter how many people you offend as long as the message is getting out to the target audience. He says that without a willingness to offend, it becomes very difficult to truly convey meaning. And as someone who sees life in very black and white ways, this resonates. Either we choose to be aware and in control or not. So please know that you're invited to contact us via our blog, and that we do have various ramblings of mine posted there. If you're bold enough to share your own ramblings and thoughts with us, they'd definitely be welcome, considered, and pondered. Thank you for watching this show mostly, though. And please know that next week, you're invited back to join us for an interview with Mary Aitken, founder and managing director of Verity. Until then, remember to only and always seek truth for your own life. Thanks. Take care.